right, it is that time once again. PGA DFS live from Awesemo.com Wednesday night. You guys know the drill. Myself, Ben Rasa, here with Jason Rouslin. Shriners Open. We're ready to go here, are we not?
Yeah, 2 weeks in Las Vegas, Sin City. I mean,
not bad.
This is pretty freaking sweet. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I gotta be honest, I kind of wish I was there for this. And kind of sad that they don't have fans here, because 2 weeks in Vegas of golf, you know that all the golfers are hanging around, and it would be a fun time to be out there. But sadly, we're not there, but we are here chatting about it. We're going to give you the best DFS advice that we can come up with. We're going to talk about some withdrawals, some sad withdrawals this week, some waves, no weather, luckily for us. So let's jump right in to it, Ben, this week, as we're heading to TPC Summerline the first week, then Shadow Creek the next one. I expect it to be pretty low scoring this week, though, correct?
Yeah, I mean, so we got a true mystery next week with Shadow Creek. That's a pretty cool course. Sure. Not that you can get on it, but yeah, I believe that Steve wins. But yeah, we haven't seen that. One thing we have seen is TPC Summerlin. It's been here, I believe it's since 2008. It's hosted this tournament, and so we have a lot of information on it. Guys are going to go low. Par fives, not a lot of trouble if you can keep it out of the hazards and whatnot. I expect, I mean, 20 under par is very reasonable here. It's going to be a lot of scoring, a lot of birdie fests, a lot of streaks and bonuses, so get ready for that. Yeah,
hey, you got to love that, I guess, if you're into that type of stuff. And so let's jump right in. Let's talk about the withdrawals. I'm sure a lot of people have found out by now, but if you haven't, we had Lucas Glover withdraw, and also Ryan Moore. And then, of course, maybe the most important one, Tony Finau came down with COVID, or at least tested positive a couple of days ago. Before we move on, was he going to be in your player pool to begin with? Or were you sad that he kind of had to withdraw because you weren't going to play him? And that's kind of where I was to kind of give you a little tease there.
I was more on that. I'll say this. I think he made it easier, because this wasn't someone where I was like staunchly opposed and I was hoping people played him. I wasn't there, but I was a little worried. I mean, he's someone I typically target majors, tougher fields, not like 25 under. That's not really where I picture Finau. So I doubt I would have gotten to a lot of them. Makes it a little easier. It also creates an awkward price. Every time there's a withdrawal, we saw this with football last week when the Chiefs and the Patriots got moved, the pricing gets a little messed up. So now we only have three guys north of 10K, and there's nobody between 9,800 and 10.4. So little dead zone.
Yeah, it is. And it certainly creates a little bit of an ownership problem as well, which we'll get into. Obviously, he was carrying about 15% ownership, probably sixth or fifth highest on the board. So tough to see that. That certainly makes it a little difficult. Weather, let's just touch on it for 2 seconds. It looks like it's going to be absolutely perfect the first 2 days. Good temperature. It's Vegas, right? The weather's never bad in Vegas anyway. I don't know if you've ever been out there, but I mean, maybe it gets a little windy, but there's no.
It's a little hot.
It's the desert. I mean, maybe a little hot, but I mean, I live in Florida, so I'm used to that by now.
No, it's hot. I've been to Vegas many a times, a lot in the summer. It's hot. It's oven heat, though. I say that every time. Like, Florida's way worse with the humidity. That is that dry heat out there. And this is not important for this week. It's going to be gorgeous. This is a tournament that's had some wind in the past, and maybe on the weekend a little bit, but for the first couple of days, no excuse for these guys. They should really go low. It's ideal conditions. Should be a lot of run out in the fairways. Of course, won't play too long. So nothing you could really complain about from a golfer standpoint.
No, that's for sure. And a couple of years ago, when Cantlay won at 9 under, there was a lot of wind. So if there is wind, it can play a little bit harder. It's par 71, 7,300 yards. I know
Yep.
Kyle asked that. Yep. 3 par 5s. I think maybe if you and I go and play it, it's a par 72, but who cares about it?
Par 90 for me, but
yeah, maybe a par 95, depending on when we do it. So, all right, we get some waves going out in the morning. Looks like the tee time. I'm trying to look at. I forgot I had it written down, but I think I messed it up because I just verified it, and I had it backwards. I had the guys going out on Friday, out on Thursday. I don't know how I did that. It's just one of those weird random days. But we got the big hitters going out: Bryson DeChambeau, Cam Champ, Matt Wolf. 7:15 in the morning. Anybody before that that you'd like to throw a random first round leader bet on?
I mean, I'd love to say Griot. He's going off at 6:55 a.m. and
I kind of led you right into that.
I do like him this week, but I'll give you one more. And this guy actually, he's probably going to make my first round leader card, is Taylor Gooch. He goes out at 7:05. He's someone that we have seen, not to say he can't do it in a full tournament, but we have seen flashes. He's had some big rounds. He can lean on the approach here. Form is okay, and the irons are good. So Taylor Gooch going out bright and early. I wouldn't be stunned to see him up there, at least to begin the tournament.
Yeah, he's really struggling on the weekends. Again, 2 good rounds going into it, last one. So then we got Kyle Stanley going off. We've got a few of our favorites, nemesis, even Jason Kokrak. He's going off at 7 o'clock.
That guy.
I know, right? Crazy. Okay, so let's talk about Bryson DeChambeau for a little bit. I called it Bryson's bombs here on the topic. The reason why I did that is because I think it's possible that he's going to have like 12 approach shots, maybe even 13 approach shots under 100 yards this week, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, if his putting is on, he's going to win every single time he plays a course like this. At least that's my opinion. Do you have a different take?
No, I mean, you can't. Bryson is incredibly dangerous. Every time he tees it up, he has a formula that wins. He also has a formula that implodes, and we saw that, I believe it was at Memorial, where he loses it. He does stupid things. He gets in trouble with the irons. It's a high volatility type of golf. Now, the results don't lie. He decimated everyone at the U.S. Open. So it's scary. I'm going to have some Bryson, but at the same time, this is a guy that I still think the floor is not nearly as consistent like as Justin Thomas, as these other top guys, where it feels like even when they don't have it, top 20 is really like as bad as it gets for them.
Yeah, totally agree. Now, if Bryson DeChambeau is going to play good, and we've got the Bryson bombs here, I'm not going to disclude Matthew Wolff either, because each time Matthew Wolff has played good in his career, Bryson has as well, or vice versa. Each time that Bryson has played good in the last couple of years, Matt Wolff has as well. So does that instantly mean that Wolff is a big part of your player pool this week, or were you able to come off of him?
No, I have some Wolff, and certainly I think there's some coincidence in that, but there's also something to it. The way they play is similar. They can lean off the tee. And Wolff is a guy that shows that when he has it, these guys are on the short list for when they bring their A game, how low they can go. Wolff has that gear. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's coming 7 straight made cuts, 2nd at the U.S. Open, 4th at the PGA, everything that you could want. So one of the staples of the 9s, I will say I like Decky more. Just, you know me, I'm going to lean to his ball striking every time. He can't putt, but Sergio couldn't putt. Apparently, you just close your eyes. It goes right in the hole. Easy game. Look what we saw last week.
So I guess that brings me to my next question. Matt Wolff's ball striking has been pretty good. You just believe that Hideki's is ultimately better long-term.
Yeah, I mean, it's more that, to me, I know what Decky is, good and bad, I should say. Like, I know he can't putt. Tee to green, though, it's as consistent as they come. Wolff right now has that. To me, though, his off the tee game is in one spot, and then the rest of his game is in another. It's not to say that he can't be good with the irons and he can't be good with the putter, but I think those are going to be more hit and miss, similar to Bryson. Like, when you look at Bryson, he's not someone that's going to automatically gain on the approach. He's automatically going to gain off the tee, and then he can get crazy out with the putter, and that's a formula that works, but it doesn't breed consistency.
No, it's true. And I think we have seen a little bit of inconsistency with him, but I do think that eventually we are going to level off. We're going to see him become one of the better players on tour. I think we're probably pretty close to it at this point. We've had 2 top 10s in majors on our majors. Certainly he's one of the best. I guess what I'm trying to say is that at 9,600 in a field like this, which is relatively strong, but not overly strong, I'm going to be okay with paying 9,600 for Matt Wolff for quite some time. And I think I've kind of come to that realization that maybe 1 out of every 6 starts where I think he's a really good start or a really good play, he's going to miss the cut. But I think we're still in with Bryson. If you look, even with his transformation, the weeks where he can't putt, or he mentioned Bryson even talked a lot about Eastlake. Eastlake's rough is a lot different. You can't run it up onto the greens like you could at Wingfoot. I don't think it's going to be like that this week, that the rough is only 2 inches long. but at the same token, I definitely think that there's a little variability, and I'm okay paying that price, at least for Matthew Wolff. 11,800. We'll finish here. Did you find it a little harder to build because Bryson is so expensive on DraftKings this week?
Oh, it's definitely harder to build with him, but to me, it's a pretty simple thing. Like Bryson can go out and win by 10 strokes, and it becomes a tournament within a tournament where you obviously need him, and then you're playing 5v5s. More likely than not, that won't happen. More likely than not, I think he will not be on the optimal lineup. So I found myself taking some shares just because it would be unfortunate to be buried by him, and I think he can go so low that he could take you right out of the tournament. But balanced builds to me far outweighed trying to pay up for him this week. Did you fall in line with that as well?
I sure did, except for on FanDuel. I found it much easier.
Softer.
The offerings aren't nearly as big either, so it's not like you can get a ton of leverage. But regardless of that, yes, I found it much easier. He's only 12,200 on FanDuel, so that's only 400 more than his DK price. That's where I got my exposure, and I'm hoping maybe he has a bad first round and I can get down on a little bit to win from him. So, okay, let's head on to our next one here. Is the price right, or Price is Right is the topic that I have. Price is Wrong is the next one. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a couple of guys in this 9K range that I think might be priced correctly. And then for the next section, in the 8K range, maybe a couple of guys that I think are priced incorrectly. So first, let's start off with Harris English and Jason Day. I guess I'm going a little bit backwards. I think their price is wrong this week. Do you think their price is right?
I think Jason Day's price is fine. I don't really have a strong take there. In a field like this, he fell off. His very disappeared randomly, and I don't know why that is. I'd be lying if I said I knew.
Yeah, very weird.
Very weird. Other than that, though, the form has been good. Harris English, his form has been fantastic.
Unbelievable.
But when you dig into the numbers, and listen, Harris English, a lot of people in chat over the last seemingly months now have been saying how good he's been playing, and I've been on the other side of it. The numbers do not lead you to sustainability, and I will just cite what he did at the U.S. Open. He gained 11.3 strokes with the short game. That is insane. That's unbelievably ridiculous. He is running hotter than the sun. Can he replicate it? Well, obviously, but to me, the price is still wrong.
I agree. At 9,700, and granted, he's been fantastic, but I would rather play Scotty Scheffler and Sungjae Im, who are at 94 and 9,300, and we talked about them last week. We both felt like their price should have been pretty equal. Last week it wasn't 11-4 versus 10-5, but here they are this week, almost back to back. I think I would much rather go down to these two guys as either my first guys in the lineup or my second guys in the lineup. If you're starting with Matsuyama or Cantlay or Morikawa for that matter, I think you can maybe even get both of them in there.
Yeah, I'd rather play Finau. If Harris English beats me once again, I will have to deal with that. But I refuse to chase someone who's gaining 6 strokes around the green. As good as he's played, you have Matthew Wolff. Chat at Sharp, as always, mentioned Sungjae Im. I think he's rounding in the form. He made the cut on the number last week, started to climb on the weekend. He's in the 9s. I talked to you before the show. I'm on Ricky. I'm going right back. He's had a little break. I do think this is a good course for him. So he took a ton of my shares, even though we all know the struggles that Ricky's had this year.
Yeah, let's talk about Ricky for a second, though.
Might have to put a rally cap for him.
Yeah, we're gonna need to. Really bad. The ball striking looked really good at the U.S. Open, and then all of a sudden it kind of disappeared towards the later part. I like Ricky. I think that Ricky is my favorite player that I don't believe is that great of a golfer. No offense to Ricky. He's his effervescent personality. There's a word. I love that word, effervescent. Anyways, yeah, that's a good one, right?
I don't know what that's too many tiles for Scrabble. I keep it basic, man.
That's a good one. Next time you're playing Scrabble here, use it.
Yeah,
think about it in the Farmers commercials, basically, right? I mean, that's basically how I can describe effervescent personality. But regardless, 9K in this field, again, I'd rather just pay up for Sungjae Im. And I found that his odds to win, 40-1, 45-1, 50-1 in some places. Honestly, I found that to be a better bet than try to play him on DraftKings. So I bet him to win. He was one of my 4 golfers that I bet to win this week. That's how I'm getting my exposure. Do you think that's going to come back to haunt me, or do you think that the ownership, even if he ends up winning on DraftKings, might not kill me?
I mean, I think that people have soured on him a lot. I will say, both me and Jason have content out on the betting side, and my betting breakdown article is free. You can go check it out. Ricky Fowler's the first guy in. I bet him as well. I think that's a great number for someone that, listen, as bad as it's been, the top end has still been there. It's just been one thing after another. So I don't mind trying to go that route. I did get to him, and I still think that the putter let him down. And listen, when you talk about guys like Ricky, we know that his ball striking is never going to be as good as these other guys. He made up for it when he was, borderline elite with his short game, with his putter. He needs to rekindle that first and foremost.
He does, absolutely. All right, let's talk about two Euro Tour, European Tour Ryder Cuppers next, 92 and 9100. Paul Casey and Sergio Garcia. Garcia obviously coming off of the win. I think that 9100 is a reasonable price. But when I first saw Paul Casey's price this week, I felt it was a little high. So I guess I'm on 50-50. The price is wrong for Paul Casey. I think it's $600-700 too high. Sergio Garcia coming off a win. I do think it's accurate. What say you? And are you playing Sergio Garcia this week after a win, tied for 7th, second place? So after his wins, now granted they've been on the European Tour the last couple of years, he's kept up the form for at least another week.
I don't mind Sergio at all. Listen, I mean, we talk all the time how quickly it can go, and it's been a million tournaments where I've wanted Sergio to gain strokes putting, and he hadn't. He hadn't gained strokes putting in 2020. He did, and he won. So sometimes, I'm not saying just blindly hang on, but at the same time, the ball striking does win out more often than not. Paul Casey to me is just, he's an interesting, normally a cash play because he's in that like lower 8K range and he's good for a top 20. I really don't see it this week. No problem with the play. It's just, again, it's a product, it's an opportunity cost. And you talked about that. There's a lot of other guys in the 9K. And I think I can speak for you. Wouldn't you rather find extra money to go get Wolf, to go get guys like that rather than target Paul Casey?
Absolutely. There's no way I'm going to play Paul Casey in a scoring event at $9,200. It's just not going to happen. He's a really quality golfer, but I would rather play him at 9,200 in the Masters versus 9,200 this week. Or maybe not Augusta. Augusta, if it's going to be tough. But then again, Augusta's about short game and Paul Casey's doubles. How about just Paul Casey at the U.S. Open? He's probably a pretty good U.S. Open fit. I think that's maybe a little bit better there. Yeah. But so has Matt Wolff been. So anyways, maybe I just pick Matt Wolff every single time, if I got to be honest with you right now. All right, let's go on to the Price is Wrong section. I think that at least 4 golfers priced in the 8K range are wrong. Jason Kokrak, Abraham Ancer, Kevin Na, and Zach Johnson. I think they're all wrong. I think they're all priced way too high. Lou Oosthuizen, I think, is actually finally priced right here at 8,800. I mean, the guy's been just hanging out in that mid-sevens. So, Ben, of those guys, are you playing any? I'm going to guess that maybe you're playing Louis, but probably none of the other ones.
Yeah, a little bit. I have a tiny sliver of Louis. The problem with him is that, I've said this and I try to stay consistent. When Louis is playing horrible and I recommend him, I say every time his recent form means nothing. It also works the other way. He's playing really well. I don't think that means he's more likely to play well now. Like he is a random golfer. When he's popular, I tend to shy away. Also, Birdie Fest, not a Louis thing. Like the tracks, majors, WGCs, like Valspar, those are not 25 under type things. So
no.
The 8K range for me is pretty, especially the upper 8s. I really didn't get to much. I don't like any of the guys you just mentioned.
Yeah, I don't either. It's pretty much a dead zone.
I'm just going to, jump in, but our man behind the glass is asking, I'm going to ask for some likes as well, chat. I know we got a lot going on, the debate and whatnot, and you're hanging out with us, but we're going to ask you to pump up the likes as we get this show going. We got to keep.
Yeah, what's going on with the debate right now? It's the vice president debate. I want to. There's probably like a COVID drinking game where like how many times it's brought up, you take shots or whatever. Maybe we'll come up with a drinking game for our contingent here. Well, like if I bring up speed, everyone's going to take a shot or something like that. We'll have to do that for next time or something like that. All right, let's talk a little bit about the low 8s, high 7s before we get into our fun make the cut segment. And of course, before we move on, you just mentioned there is a ton going on. There was even a pool for like this vice presidential debate tonight. And while we didn't have content for that here at Awesemo.com, we do have plenty of more premium, good quality content out there. We have so many sports going on right now, and you want to come join us for the week, platinum side, $29.99. How about just for golf? going to take you right up to the Masters if you get us for a month, $29.95 for the month, $8.95 for the week. So many different choices for you to come join us on the premium side, and you're going to get all of the best content. And one more thing, one of the premium tools we've got this week is free, the Top Golfers tool, part of our Awesemo golf package. So that's a really good one. We'll talk about that a little later in the show. I've got a couple of guys that I highlighted a little bit far down that we'll chat about. So let's talk about the high sevens. Cam Smith is part of that. He's a guy that I like to play. I've won some money on a little bit, almost a year ago now at the Sony Open. He popped off with gaining like over 3 strokes tee to green 2 weeks ago. He's got a couple of good finishes here. I'll ask about him first this week, Cam Smith.
I think he's an interesting guy only because he pivots off what I think will be an important range in the low 8s. Cam Davis, Neiman, Zalatoris, Redmond, Munoz in the high 7s. A lot of guys that, for good reason, are going to garner interest, and Cam Smith isn't. So I don't mind it. He's going to lose off the tee. I think we all know that, but the form is all right, and he does it a different way. As you know, Jason, you've talked about that a lot. He just has that formula, not like Wyndham Clark, but there are just certain golfers that don't fit the mold, and he's proven that he can be effective out there. So I don't mind that at all for tournaments.
Yeah, he's really struggled off the tee, right? I mean,
he really has.
We know he's likely. We know that if he matches the field in off the tee, he's probably going to have a pretty good week because he's very bad everywhere else. Okay, rank them for me. Zalatoris, Davis, Neiman, all kind of young studs playing really good golf or have been playing really good golf. I gave you 3 there. Throw in Doc Redman. He's 7,900.
Oh, God, what a...
Yeah.
I thought you were going to throw in one more so I could say, like, okay, that one's easy. All 4 of those guys are very, very viable. For me, Neiman would be first. I just think he's a little more pedigree. I've seen him do it. He's won. Cam Davis is playing the best of the 4, so I'll probably put him second. It's going to be over on both. Will Zalatoris, I've been adamantly opposed to. I like him this week as well. I think the price drop. And then you've got Doc Redman, another price drop. Him and Sam Burns were way up. Now they're down. You can pepper this range. I have teams that tried to get 3 of those guys on the same team.
So your biggest lineup, did you pick, or any of them, did any of them make it? I know we're getting into builds. I'll be honest, I was a little more aggressive with the builds because one simple reason. I believe the guy at $6,200 is as good as the 4 we just mentioned. Maybe not right now, but I think eventually he's going to be. He was the number 1 ranked amateur in the world. He lives in the area.
Guy, is he not?
Yeah,
he lives there.
Yeah, lives there now. We're talking about Justin Sue, of course, if you guys don't know. I like all of those guys. Don't get me wrong. It's just I ended up going more aggressive because I found the same thing in Justin Sue as those guys. For you, though, did any get in your big dollar lineup or your biggest lineup this week?
Yeah, I mean, so really what it comes down to for me, Neiman is the best play of the 4, in my opinion. I like all of them. Cam Davis to me is the safest. And listen, chat, you guys know when I say safest in golf, there is no safe plays, but I think the way he's playing, I don't, unless he loses it, he should be pretty good in line to make this cut. Neiman to me, if you told me one of those 4 win the tournament, I would say Neiman is the most likely.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good call there.
But they're good players, though. All these guys.
All real quality, all young, all going to be around a while.
Yep.
Zalatoris, obviously, we're not going to see that much unless he goes out top 5s this week. Then we'll see him, anytime he wants to play. Okay. Before we go on, though, let's talk just about the ownership there. Looks like it's going to be pretty evenly spread. I don't see anything big, one guy coming in like 15% or anything. That would be my only reason for me to say to you, hey, pick this guy over the other. Seems pretty evenly spread on those 4, and we can, kind of move on after that.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think a lot of times you're coming in with best available. And I say that in the mindset, you're not getting a major discount. It's going to flatten ownership. It's just about, are you looking for upside? Are you looking for consistency? Are you looking for, score? They all do a lot of things, but they have similarities and they have differences. So you just want to make sure you're getting the right guy on the right team.
If you're playing across the different sites, our chat just brought up, love our chat, always on top of it. Cam Davis, I guess, is like min price over on Yahoo this week. If you play over there, and it's something we talk about, we talked about with Bryson. I said that I'm getting all the exposure on FanDuel. It's just so much easier to roster him. Definitely take a look there.
That's a lock button.
Yeah, at that point, it's definitely a lock button with the way he's been playing. All right, let's move on to our Make the Cut, where Any golfer that we haven't mentioned, I'll try and get in here. Any golfers that you guys want to hear about, go ahead and ask in our chat.
Put on the rally cap for make the cut.
Let's put on the rally cap for a few guys. I'll Ricky. Some of them need to make a cut. I'm going to start it off with kind of one that's off the grain. It's down the price way, and then I'll go back up. It's Matt Kuchar, man. I can't believe we're talking about this guy as in the make the cut segment, but here we are. Matt Kuchar, he's gone through caddy changes. He's gone through. I love that rally cap, by the way.
Yeah, amazing. I only bring this out when I need it, and I need Ricky this week, so I'm not leaving any stone unturned.
Let's go. I'm so glad I got him to win now that we get the rally cap.
He's going to get it done.
Is Matt Kuchar going to get it done? New caddy. His old caddy's now with Cameron Champ. I'm out on Matt Kuchar.
I am too. I think that, Matt Kuchar is someone we've looked to for cash and consistency for a long time, but it's not really there right now. So give me Varner. Give me obviously like Aaron Wise if you want to pivot. You mentioned Siwoo before the show. You could go to these type of guys over Matt Kuchar this week.
Okay, Charlie Hoffman was just asked about in chat. 7,800 this week, playing pretty good golf. He was part of your hot take. It was looking really good for a couple of days.
You know how frustrating that was? Yeah, I had him top 5 last week.
Oh, no. Jeez.
Awful. He's playing good golf. I will say last week, though, he cashed in finally. He paired a 4.1 off the tee with 6.7 strokes gained putting. Ooh, that is the formula. Obviously, if you can replicate it, you're going to see him again. But that's a tough ask in terms of the putter to gain that many strokes.
Yeah. Somebody just asked about Will Gordon, and we'll get to him. They want me to talk.
Guy.
They want me to talk him off of playing him, and there's no chance I'm doing it. Of course, I'm playing him. But I will give a take on Gordon down a little bit below that. Moved me off of him in my main lineup, and I'll explain why a little later. Okay, let's keep on going. In this price section, Sebastian Munoz. Of course, history last week looked like it was paying off. Had a fantastic round 1. What do you think of Sebastian Munoz?
I think the biggest problem for him is that you gave me 4 guys in his price range before, and I said that I liked them all. And there's limited spots. So he's a fine play. He cooled off a little bit. The ball striking was good last week. I just have him behind guys like Davis, Neiman, Redmond, even Zalatoris. So hard sell for me to actually get him in my lineups.
Same here. 7,900. I'd rather him be down in that low 7 range where I'd have to choose between him or Luke List. Then it would be a decision for me. But at 7,900, I'd rather just play, like you said, all those 4 guys. Okay, Harold Varner and Siwoo Kim, we both mentioned that we both like them a lot, so obviously we think they're gonna make the cut. If you think they're both gonna make the cut, where do you think they end up in the tournament? Can they sneak into the top 20 here, or is it too deep of a field?
No, I think so. I mean, HV3, listen, I think many people have been waiting on him, waiting to break through. It's close, then it's not. He's had his chances, but at these price ranges, you don't need a win, you just need a fine showing, and I think he does that once again. Siwoo, listen, we know when he gets going, the ball striking is pure. He's a winner. These guys are definitely live, but at the same time, I don't think you're sacrificing that much cut equity if you go to them. They're not like wild tournament plays where it's all or nothing. I think they can sneak through a cut and still pay off their tags.
Agreed. Another guy that I forgot to ask you about, I apologize. Brian Harman, he's, I think, made like 6 straight cuts. He's pretty close here. What do you think about Brian Harman? Does he make the cut at least?
Yeah, I think he does, but I'll be honest. Him and Keegan are just completely, I don't want to say blinded out of my lineups, but it just have so much interest in these other guys. What did you do with Harman? He's gained strokes putting in 5 straight. Makes sense. He makes sense, no doubt about it.
He does make sense. But at 8,000, man, I don't know that there's upside. He's got all these top 25s, but no top 10. At 8,000, I think that we're kind of searching for that. Listen, I think he's a good cut maker. I really do. And I think for cash, you pair him up with like Cam Davis, go get somebody down low that you like and be able to get, say, Matthew Wolff or Scotty Scheffler. I think you're building a really good quality line to compete in cash. It's just that if you're trying to win the $10 GPP on DraftKings this week, I don't think Brian Harman gets it done for you.
I'm with you.
Okay, let's go on a little bit down the list here. Got to cut plenty of guys still to talk about. Yeah, Sam Burns. Let's talk about Sam Burns and Ryan Palmer for a second. Go ahead and talk. You can choose which one you want to chat about first.
I'll talk about Sam Burns, who he felt a little overpriced last week. he's going to gain off the tee. He's gained in 6 straight off the tee, but he hasn't done anything with it. His putter is hit or miss. He's going to lose around the green. His irons are hit and miss. The results are hit and miss. So I get it if you think that the class drop is enough. He's also a strong Bermuda splits guy, which doesn't help his cause here. So not really for me. Ryan Palmer is a tougher sell. I don't really have a good feel on where his game is at. He's been a little inconsistent.
It has been. Agreed there. Okay. Palmer, when I look at Palmer's stats, it looks like he should be a decent fit for here. He's got good driving distance, good around the green, but it looks like he's going to be a little chalky again as he's kind of gotten recently. So I'll just take the fade. No problem there. Ches Reavie, somebody asked us about.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm more, I guess, of the two of us, maybe I try to whisper on Ches Reavie a little bit more. But I'm a definite guy that I love to jump on Ches when I think he's in form, and it's just not really looking like he's there by the strokes gained numbers. Looked like we had a really good peak at the Safeway, and we've come down significantly the last 2 outings, U.S. Open and Sanderson. So, Ches Reavie in play for you this week.
Listen, Ches is a guy that, he's a good player. He's got some splits on desert track. I believe he's got he might live in Vegas, one of those guys. But regardless of that, his putter is cold, and he's someone when his putter is cold, it tends to kind of stay cold. The ball striking is not out of this world. Almost feels like a fringe cash play, honestly. So I don't have much of Ches this week, though.
Yeah, I don't have much with Ches either this week. It's just I didn't get to him. I ended up going a little bit lower. Okay, let's talk about a few more guys. Brendan Steele, Brandt Snedeker finally made a cut last week. Made a little bit of noise. The back-to-back weeks for him?
He's another one. It's very tough because when you look at Brandt Snedeker, every time with the statistics, you're going to say, there's no way you can play this guy. He's going to lose off the tee. He's not a good ball striker. He gains it all with the putter, but he's a world-class putter. So it's not random. It's not fluky. Having said that, I don't really like to chase that. I'd much rather go to Brendan Steele, who's playing better golf lately, or the multitude of guys that we'll get to in the low 7s. I think I'm higher on that range than you are this week.
Speaking of playing good golf right now, he's bringing his Kip Henley caddy back, who's an interesting follow on Twitter, to say the least.
He is.
Talking about Stuart Sink, I'm out because he's bringing the new caddy back. Like, I actually think he had a good thing going with his son, who's like, don't get me wrong, his son's got like a really good job with Delta, and like he doesn't need to be his dad's caddy, but it seemed like they had a good thing going on, and kind of sad to see it go bye-bye because I think that'll go his form as well.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly had a good thing going on. He gained 9 strokes tee to green at the Safeway, and he won, and then he gained 11.5 at Sanderson Farms. If you look at the statistics, there is nobody playing better golf than Stuart Sink. Having said that, it's pretty obvious that Stuart Sink is playing way above his head, just knowing that it's Stuart Sink. So you want to chase that form, more power to you. I am not doing that. I will let Stuart Sink beat me if he wants to string together a 3rd straight fantastic week.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think he'll be maybe going to spend the weekend with his son, but not playing golf this time. Dylan Fratelli, same price. He's a guy that we like to play a little bit. Really been bad. Last week, you and I both talked about him a little bit on the show. But the form is just not there, and it kind of hasn't been there since like he played with Tiger Woods on that Friday at the Northern Trust. So looks like we got Zach Jameson telling us to run for president. It looks like you're going to be the president. I'm going to be the VP. So it looks like we must be doing something right. So don't screw it up with our Dylan Fratelli talk, man.
Well, if Fratelli makes the cut, he could have a cabinet position, but I'm not sure that he's going to do that. He's really we talk all the time on the show. Fratelli can come out of nowhere. He can get crazy hot, but you can't just blindly back him either. So although I have some interest just because the game is not completely broken, he hasn't shown much. And a lot of the shares that I would have allocated to him, they went to Steele, they went to Grillo, they went to Ventura. Benyon is down here. A lot of flyers potential in the low 7s.
Yeah, so speaking of Ventura, 7,100 this week, coming off of a couple of now good starts. I know he had one bad one mixed in at the Corrales, but making the cut. I mean, this guy seems like a Luke List without his good irons that can actually putt. I mean, he seems like a quality player. I really don't even know how to describe him.
He reminds me of Cam Davis a little, to be honest. And, you see Cam Davis at 81. It wasn't that long ago that Cam Davis was really struggling. People forget that. And he figured it out. He's still in that bunker. I'll never let him forget that he moved the cut line. Ventura gained across the board last week. He is significantly cheaper than those guys, obviously, $1,000 difference. I wouldn't fault anyone for continuing. He's a long hitter. He can take apart these par fives. What's not to like, honestly?
Yeah, I understand that. So I just mentioned Luke List. So let's talk about Luke List next. We're in this kind of price range. We'll talk about Pat Perez after that. I'm buying into Luke List this week.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why. But I can tell you that I know he has 3 top 20s here in his 3 starts. He's terrible at putting. I know he's going to lose strokes, but his off the tee game is so good that here at Summerlin, I think he easily gets through the cut. Is there something that I'm missing?
I hope not. Luke List absolutely coffined me last week. It was
oh no, the 8-footer.
Awful. I didn't think he needed it until Sanjay moved the line, but Luke List is playing all right. When you miss on the number, listen, it's frustrating if you have him. It's also a good thing for the next week because the ownership plummets because a lot of people just look and they say, oh, he missed the cut. And not all missed cuts are created equal. Like Luke List should have made that cut and his ball striking was fine. I'm going right back. I'm way over just like you. Guy can score. If he makes the weekend, he is so live to outscore his placement points the way he plays. So Luke List at flat 7 is a very enticing price.
Definitely agree. Definitely in. Kevin Strillman got no shares, I'm assuming, because all of them went right to List.
Correct. I'm going to throw one back to you, though.
Okay.
What are you doing with Benny On? Because he's someone, he's getting a huge price drop, but his form has been terrible.
Oh, man, this guy. I thought he was a perfect pivot from the high chalk last week of some Gotti, 10%.
He wasn't.
It looks as if when he misses some putts early, he really just doesn't care. Like, I hate to say it that way, but it almost looks like he doesn't care. So I don't know if I can roster him at 7,100, though. Don't get me wrong. I think that's actually a much better price. But I think I'd rather play Luke List, right? I mean,
so would I.
I think Luke List has shown us a lot more form recently than Benny On has. I don't know. Ventura's 7,100 as well, and Emiliano Grillo's only 7,200. So I'm finding very little room for him this week.
Yeah, I mean, Grillo is just certainly a staple in my lineups, the way he's striking it. Benny On is just a really tough sell. Every time I feel like I have a read on his game, it goes away. You have to consider, I'll say this, chat. I think you have to consider him just because of the price. Like, this is a guy, if he would have just made the cut last week, he would be in the mid-8s. I firmly believe that. And that's a big drop based off some spotty form. But man, Jason, you said it. When he can't string together, when he doesn't have it, he can't string together because he can't make 6-8 footers. And he lost 6 strokes putting in 2 rounds last week. That's really bad.
Yeah, not even Luke List did that. Luke List only.
No.
Yeah. I can't play him in any big lineups, but for the $5 or the $10 on DraftKings, I think I can get him in on one because when he does, if he does, ever putts, we know that his ball striking is good enough to get inside the top 5. I mean, right? I mean, the stats show us.
Well, it should be, yeah.
That he's one of the best top 10 ball strikers in the world. So it means I got to get him in at least one lineup.
Last thing I'll say with him, and this is like super atypical. You could speak more to this than me because you golf and I don't. But on a macro level, most horrible putters are horrible chippers. Like Grillo, he can't chip, he can't putt.
Yep.
Benny On is a world-class around the green player. He always has been, but he can't putt, which is really atypical. It's not like both of those are deficient. It's just his putter. So that's something that is a positive because it's not like if he's missing greens, he can't scramble. It's just the putting that really is the problem.
Yeah, and I mentioned, I bring up a Rhode Island connection anytime I can, and I had mentioned to you like a month ago that he went to Brad Faxon to get some putting.
Whisperer.
Yeah, and the putting whisperer, and that's what Roy McIlroy did, and neither of those have kind of panned out, so maybe he's not as good a whisperer as I so thought because nothing has really been happening. A couple of chalkier guys down in the high 6s. Let's start off with, since we just talked about Benny On, maybe the worst putter in the world, Let's talk about maybe the best putter in the world right now, or one of. That's Maverick McNeely, and then I'll go back to Denny McCarthy. So let's talk about Maverick McNeely first, then Denny McCarthy second.
Maverick McNeely gained 11 strokes putting last week. 11 strokes putting.
Yeah, that's correct.
This is crazy. I did not picture, and maybe I just have a bad impression. Like, I used to play Maverick a lot, turn of 2019, early 2020, and I used to classify him as a good ball striker. The ball striking has completely gone away. He has lost with his irons in 7 straight tournaments. You mentioned his putting is running extreme. He's in like Denny McCarthy territory right now. Can't back that though with the way he's striking it.
Yeah, he's a local guy too now, right? Him and his girlfriend live out there. So if you had to pick one, Maverick McNeely or Denny McCarthy, I mean, you'd want to play him for the exact same reasons, right? So does that mean if you have any Denny McCarthy, you also have McNeely, or do you have neither?
If I had to play one, it would be Denny McCarthy, because he's actually doing the opposite. He's starting to find some semblance of a tee to green game, and the putting is not nearly as hot as it was. So I think that's more sustainable. It's more realistic. I'm not running to play Denny McCarthy, but I can't back a guy that's losing in 3 categories and doing it all with the putter. That's a recipe for disaster.
It is, and Dylan brings up that Danielle Kang is Maverick's putting coach, and if that's the case, she's also his girlfriend, so whatever she's doing to help him is definitely working, no matter what it is. Harry Higgs, he's just Harry Higgs. He's the biggest personality on tour, maybe. I don't know. Didn't play good at Shriners last year. He struggled on the green and with his approaches, but was superb off the tee. In fact, it was his best strokes gained off the tee performance in my entire database, which goes all the way back to last year's Waste Management, or it would be the year before that's Waste Management. So a lot of tournaments, 57 weeks or something like that. It was only 2 rounds. So does that mean that all the other stuff, which has been in form, will stay there this week and I should be playing him? Or should I just instead come off of Morikawa and go up to Siwoo Kim?
Yeah, that's a tough little decision. A lot of people are going to have that. Like, do you knock on 10K and dip into the 6s, or do you go to the mid-9s and round out your lineups in the mid-7s? I think Harry Higgs makes sense. He's made 3 straight cuts. He was great at Safeway, but at the same time, I do think that his game is not really – not all the pieces are there. He's going to gain off the tee, and he gets hot with the putter. The irons are pretty bad, though. So for me, I would try to find some extra cash or even pivot within the 6K range. I think there's a couple other guys I like more.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I had trouble. I ended up – so the decision I was making, just a reference point, Patrick Cantlay and Harry Higgs versus Colin Morikawa and Siwoo Kim. That was the decision. They're basically the same salary. It is a tough one.
That's tough.
So, pick and choose, I guess, which way to go. Okay. Cameron Tringale, 6,900, had been doing it with his other clubs, but last week it was the close to 5 strokes gained putting that made him start. He was kind of popular. He's had a weird bout of it. He got withdrawn from an event where he was actually playing pretty well. 6,900. Harry Higgs, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of frustrating. I'm not going to lie. He putted way better than people anticipated last week. I don't really see it. I wasn't there last week, and he certainly didn't do anything to get me more interested. I would rather go to Kyle Stanley if I had to. He's another one, missed the cut on the number. Not saying he's playing great, but...
Thought he made the cut. He shot 4 under, and when he made that birdie on 18, I was like, oh, he's got it. That's
what I thought, too. Spoiler alert, didn't have it. Quite frustrating.
It really was.
Why? And it was my own guys. That's the kill. Not to go down a wormhole. My own guys moved the line within the same team. Wesley Bryant and Sungjae Im moved the line to kill Wist and Stanley.
Oh my gosh. Taylor Gooch, you mentioned as a first-round leader bet because he has gotten off to a couple of hot starts now. Goes out early tomorrow morning. Perfect time to ask him about you right now in this make the cut. So first-round leader, does that mean he goes all Keegan Bradley style on us? Or does he end up making the cut?
No, he's making the cut. Listen, this is a guy, you can get crazy out with the irons, but the rest of the game isn't that terrible. It really isn't. It's not great, but it holds it together. He can lean on the ball striking. He's made 4 or 5 cuts, and I think he does that once again at a very nice price tag.
Oh boy, it's come time. It has come time in the show to talk to you about a guy that I have not got to talk to you about before.
I know who you're talking about. This guy's back in my life.
Months. He is back in your life. Francesco Molinari.
I thought he was retired.
So ready for this, though? This is the worst part about it. He said that he doesn't think he's going to be ready for the Masters in a month, and then he's targeting January to be in good form again. 6,700 this week. Is he going to make the weekend so he gets some reps? Or no, he's done. He's dust.
Yeah, he's dust. He was playing awful before the pandemic. Like, he was playing. The only made cut he has is at the WGC. And you know why he made the cut? Because there is no cut. Like, he has done absolutely nothing. I hope people play him. If he's no interest.
And this is going to ring true to other fans of other golfers that have gone down the abysmal path. His hopes and dreams ended on 12 at Augusta when he had that tournament in hand. That tournament was in hand, just like it was Spieth's. He just handed it right over to Tiger Woods as Spieth didn't will it, and we haven't seen from either really again after that. All right, now let's talk about Tom Hoge. And I know that's an interesting name, but he's actually ranked in the top 6 in our top golfers tool as a top leverage play based on his ownership and based on where he can come in his top 6 and I think his top 20 percentage. So, with that being said, Tom Hoge, is he any interest to you?
You know, it's a guy that to give a true plug, because that's one of the things at Awesemo, you know, when me and Jason talk about this stuff, we look at these things and we use them. That was a guy that I wasn't really interested in, and I saw that tool and I kind of had to do a double check. And when you dig in, he's made 6 out of 7 cuts. The problem I have, he's made 6 out of 7 cuts, but he has no top 25s. And he's someone that the upside doesn't seem to be there. So although I don't heat it as a cut maker, I don't think in big field tournaments you're going to get paid off too often, even if he does make the cut.
Sitting right above him in that tool, 2 guys. One that was just asked about a little while ago, Rafa Cabrera-Bello.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know, right? And then Charles Schwartzel and... what's the other name? Rory Sabatini. Sorry, that's why. Charles Schwartzel, Rory Sabatini, some tour veterans with Rafa Cabrera-Bello. Those 3, pick one of them for me.
Yeesh. Charles riding a hot putter, that makes it tough to go to him.
Putter on tour too. It's ugly.
Like, there's just nothing there. RCB was riding a hot putter, and there was nothing there even when he was putting. So I think if I had to choose one of the 3, it would be Sabatini, who also, shockingly, riding a hot putter. These are a lot of guys that are really not striking it well. I don't see much of any of them making my lineups.
Speaking of putting it well, I think it was the first round last week, Kevin Chappell gained about 95 strokes putting. Yeah. Making it from everywhere. He doesn't have many starts left. Is this going to help him earn a couple more?
I don't think so. He flashed, but you said it. He flashed because he got hot with the putter. It's not sustainable, and that's what we saw. I don't really feel the need, or I have other flyers down here. You mentioned Justin Sue. Yeah, Martin Laird, if I had to be desperate, is 6,400. Sepp Straka. Danny Lee, I think, is somewhat sneaky. He's been playing better than people think.
I got a theory on him.
Please.
Yeah, I got one. I think this is gonna totally come off base for you. I don't think that you're gonna thought I was going this way with it. But you know how we withdrew from the U.S. Open after 7 putting on his 54th hole there?
I do know that. Yes, I've seen it.
Believe he got suspended for 2 weeks. That's my summation from it.
And now he's back.
And he tweeted, he's like, I'm going to take some time off to think about it. That's my way, or that's the PG Tour's way of saying, hey, you suspended.
Put him in timeout?
Yeah, you're going into timeout. Similar to Dustin Johnson, who's taking some time off for getting tested positive for cocaine for a year. He was suspended from the league.
That's a long time.
Not the same scenario, but I believe my theory is Danny Lee was suspended for a couple of weeks, and now he's back. I don't think he was injured at all. Just a theory there. Okay, so now We're down to our deep dives.
Sorry, I have one guy I have to ask you about.
Yeah.
Because one of the things on the show that I love, there are guys that I legitimately have never heard of.
Okay.
One of them is someone I'm starting to hear a lot about is Pga Dfs. Do you have any interest in chasing this guy who clearly is playing pretty good golf? He Monday qualified and then he hung around for a little bit.
Ready for this? 9 of 14 Monday qualifiers. So if you're into the PGA Tour or professional golf, I should say PGA Tour, professional golf landscape, the Monday qualifiers are such a unique breed in of themselves. There's actually somebody on Twitter, at Aces of One Golf, I believe it is. He calls himself the Monday Q Info. That's his like ticker name or whatever. Yep. And he follows all the stuff. Awesome follow if you love golf. Definitely give him a follow if you do. He's talked at length about this guy. He's a 32-year-old from South Africa. It's not like he's a 21-year-old rookie or stud. This guy has broken out of nowhere, and now since 9 of 14 Monday, he got a sponsor invite to this event. Obviously, his play is paying off. Top 12 last week, almost earned the start. It's hard not to look at him, but, I mean, listen, we know that golf is a weird sport and you can bloom at any point, but this guy has really come out of left field. I mean, right field, whatever field you want to say, it doesn't matter. I think I'm going to play him. Not my biggest lineup. I'd rather go to Justin Sue, but I think he's going to make a couple of my GPP lines this week.
Yeah, I mean, I had to bring him up. It's a guy that he's come out of nowhere, and good for him. Maybe he can string it together. It's certainly been impressive, though.
Sure has. All right, I want to talk. We'll go into our deep dives here, and I think it's a good time to talk about Will Gordon and Justin Sue, and I said I'd bring something up. So at the beginning of the week, for me, when I look at Gordon's game log, we talk a lot about DraftKings points and the ability to score. This guy's got it. If he gets through the cut, he's going to score you 70 points. No doubt about it. No doubt in my mind. However, I looked at something. Justin Sue is 180 to 1 to win, and Will Gordon is 400 to 1 to win. Now, I know there might be some recency bias there with Justin Sue living in the area, but that honestly made me go and play Justin Sue on DraftKings and bet Will Gordon because I like them equally. And I felt like if the odds makers are pricing Sue at half the price, he's got to have a 2 times better shot at making the cut. Probably flawed logic there a little bit. But can you see why I'd want to do that? I mean, 400 to 1 odds. And, of course, when I bet the each ways, it's better to bet him than it is Justin Sue.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to, that is why Vegas odds are important. When you look at the pricing, you can see some glaring, I don't want to say misprices, but things that stand out. Now, the important thing is, just to clarify for chat, is it's not just about win equity, as obviously, like, and everyone, some guys are more prone to win the tournament, but if they don't, they're probably missing the cut, where others guys, their top 20 odds would be radically different because they're way more consistent. So that is something to take notice, though, because like Will Gordon, this is a guy at Travelers, he flashed that he can do it in a field stronger than what Justin Sue has been doing. Now, recently, Sue has showed form, but I think I'm with you in the sense of there's a lot of recency bias with these guys that we don't have a lot of bodies of work on.
It does. Sue definitely is fighting more for his career than Gordon is. Gordon's on that Doc Redman membership right now this year, so he's going to get in pretty much any field outside of the real strong ones. And for Justin Sue, Sue needs another top 20 to get himself into the Corn Ferry Tour Finals. So another top 20 does that, and obviously he can do anything from there. He was the number one ranked amateur in the world at a time, so I'm definitely in. A couple of guys down here for some more deep dives. Throw a couple of names at you. Keith Mitchell, 6,100. Wyndham Clark, 6,100. Are either of them going to play the weekend, and are you playing either of them?
Not playing either of them. I think Wyndham Clark could play the weekend because the way he plays is just wild. Like he's all over the map. A lot of times he has the rare formula that I do think that Bryson is starting to like champion. You gain off the tee, you gain with the putter. Your irons, unless they're just god awful, you don't have to be that good because you're hitting wedges and then you're making the putts. So like, how bad could it be? Wyndham Clark does subscribe to that blueprint.
Nobody who does not subscribe to this blueprint, but is min priced this week.
Oh boy!
I thought he broke with his irons at the U.S. Safeway, and then he withdrew from the U.S. Open six holes in or whatever. Talking about Andrew Putnam.
Oh, your boy, yeah.
A boy, min price. I'm not playing him this week in my main lineups. I may throw him in a couple of GPPs. You playing him at all?
No, I didn't. So here's the thing, and this is a perfect time, to kind of round out our final takes with hot takes. I didn't need to do that because I didn't play that much Bryson. So I wasn't forced to flat six. And if your price was Smiley, it's not great. So former champion, Smiley Kaufman here.
I'm glad you brought that up. He is the former champion of the event.
Damn right.
I really hope Smiley makes the cut, man.
Me
That
too.
guy
Rooting for him.
Yeah, a group make cut, please, from Smiley. We're not playing him or recommending him, so don't think that.
No, don't do that.
But that's a great segue into our hot takes here. And of course, if you could give us a few likes here on your way out as we give us our hot takes, bump it up. We've got, somewhere around 80 if we could get to 100 by the end.
We're going to go to 100.
Yeah, let's get it to 100 here.
Let's do it.
End of the round here. And of course, like we said, if you want to check out some of that free content we got going on, the top golfers tool this week, free, go on and check it out. Check out the leverage spots. Okay, now let's go. Hot takes. You've been pretty darn close. In fact, I would say you've not nailed both in the last 2 weeks. So let's get a turkey here. Somebody actually gave you a really good one in chat. I don't know if you saw it, but I'm actually thinking that you might even want to use it.
What was it?
It was somebody with the first letter R in their first name. So the first letter is R in their first name will win the golf tournament.
Oh yeah, I'll certainly use that because it's Brian Armour. No, yeah, Ricky is going to play well here. That is going to be my hot take. One of the many reasons you should follow both of us on Twitter. We put out some fun stuff. One of them is I try to have some fun and pick a winner every week. I picked Ricky. I really do believe that if that putter turns around, this is the type of event. I comped it to Waste Management. He's won there. Honestly, and I'm not going to go down a deep dive at the end here. I think Wells Fargo is interesting with the way you can drive the ball here and you can be aggressive. That's a much tougher course, though. He has won there. Ricky Fowler, orange, rally cap. It's all sets up. We're going to get it done this week for the boys from Oklahoma State. That's what I should have said. Oklahoma State winner, so I could have got Wolf and Ventura.
Yeah, Wolf,
Easy.
Wolf, Ventura. You would have had a good one there. Cam Champ, we didn't actually talk about him. Is he in your player field before I give my hot take? It's not about him. He's not playing.
No, I think he's fine. Again, I'm broken record. He can bomb it and he can get crazy out with the putter, but he's just not playing well.
No, he's not. All right. So my first lean is that Wolf wins the golf tournament, but it's not really too hot takey enough for me at 9,600. So I'm going to give one that's going to say Webb Simpson burns people this week.
Okay.
Not to say he's going to go out and miss the cut at 11K, but I think he burns people. I think we get us finished somewhere outside of the top 40. The putter has not been as good. Now, granted, it's still been good. It hasn't been as good recently. So I'm going to go Webb Simpson out of the top 40 this week.
Ooh, I like it.
Hot take.
Beautiful. That is a perfect way to wrap this up. Let's go. Get Webb Simpson out of here. I would love to see that. Chat,
We've been asking for that for years now, I feel.
Yeah, I know. We're due to get a Webb fade, right? But you know what? It's going to be this week. Chat, we love to see you guys each and every week. You guys make it so much fun. That's why we really hope you join, get in Slack and get our premium tools. But a ton more golf. Like I said, this is not a normal swing season. We're getting ready for the Masters next month. So great time to join. On that note, we're going to bounce on out of here and get ready for lock, go do some things. Plenty of content tomorrow. There'll be football, Thursday night football and whatnot. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. Thanks to Drew and Klein for producing. Good luck, everybody. We'll be back next week with the CJ Cup.